We're live.
We're live.
Ooh.
Beer and beef jerky.
Number 2.
Numero dos. In true big chunky fashion, we have no beef jerky.
I don't even have a beer.
I only have beer. You've got like Kool-Aid.
I have raspberry lemonade.
Brandy.
I do a brandy.
Oh, anyway.
Fight me on that.
I guess you can welcome. I'll welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to our second stream / podcast / whatever this is called.
That's it.
Right?
That's what it is.
Hopefully this is
Oh, man.
A little better than last week.
Yeah, I think it looks,
Quality's a little better.
God, infinitely better.
Keep on getting better at this.
Shit, you know what?
Yeah.
You know what? Okay, no, our microphone's on. That's cool. I thought our microphone wasn't on. That would have been really bad.
I'm going to keep on getting better at this. All right. So we actually have somewhat of a format today. So we're gonna have
Kinda. We should probably put our show into LOL.
Oh my gosh.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, what is happening with us?
So
All right.
we're going to have a few little stories of the week we'll touch on.
Yeah, a couple little things.
Then we'll move into, I've got a little list in the vein of comic book investment collecting or whatever. We'll do a little thing I'm going to do for the first time, whatever that means. And then we'll talk about...
Sam saying your mic isn't working.
Oh, she's watching some live shit.
Yeah.
She's watching some live stuff.
Why are you yelling? Hold on.
I'm going into your microphone.
Twitch. Yeah, hold on. What do you mean it's not working?
Oh no, oh no. Oh no.
What?
Don't talk. I'm talking. The microphone is working, right? It looks like it. Why wouldn't it work? It feels like it's working. It looks like it's working.
Hold on.
Growing.
Okay, I can
Hello.
hear you now, Sam. What's the problem? Or I can see your chats now. What's the problem?
Yours is spiking up into the yellow. Mine is.
Yeah. He only hear you through the camera, not his mic. That shouldn't even, that's not the case.
Why is that happening?
I have no idea. What the fuck?
Yours is working so much better than mine.
Here, talk.
Hello. That's better.
Yeah, I turn the volume up. Is that better, Sam?
Tell me that's fine now.
Please do, because I don't...
It looks good.
I think so.
Way better.
Okay, cool.
Way better, says Sam,
Alrighty.
the upstairs moderator.
Is she mod? Yeah, she is mod.
Yeah.
Moderator. All right, cool.
All right, so I will say once again, we're going to do a little format, little news story back and forth. I've only got one to talk about really quickly.
I got another one. I only have one to talk about.
You have one or two, that's
but
fine.
we have other stuff to do.
That's fine, because we're going to go right into... wow, watch out.
Jesus Christ.
Watch out for the cat. We're going to go right into getting the cat off the desk.
Yeah.
I can hear myself upstairs really loudly.
Yeah, very loudly.
Like the volume's on 85 up there.
Yeah. Come on, Sam.
Sabotage. Being sabotaged by the moderator. Like, we need it. We don't need any sabotage. We're already bad enough.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna go into my little list, and then we're gonna talk about some Miles Morales.
Well, I have a thing to talk about too.
I know. I'm
Very
saying,
briefly.
Yeah,
It's nothing crazy or anything.
We'll talk about Miles Morales, and then we're gonna go into some show and tell.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's start. You start.
Me?
Yep. Let's go right into it. Got some news.
Well, yeah, I guess kind of a little bit. It's not. I mean, it's really big news in general, but I don't know enough about it because I'm not a developer of video games or anything besides this YouTube channel. And but apparently this is a really big deal. So while everything's going on with COVID and people are working from home in all industries except for mine, people have inevitably leaked out a bunch of information about a lot of different games and upcoming events, and we kind of like learned a whole lot about what was going on with the Microsoft press conference a few weeks ago, pretty early on, before it happened. And the latest thing that's going on with Nintendo specifically is that a lot of source code has been being leaked for the last couple months. And that's a big deal.
Oops.
Because when people like developers, like people that go back and develop games for older hardware, which happens all the time, and people go in and they take ROMs of games and they make little hacks of them to change them into, their own little version of that game. But I think this is a bigger deal because people have entire system source codes. So people know exactly what's going on with Nintendo when they code any given system, which I suppose is a really big deal for people that do homebrew games, which are just, the games that people create and they work on another system. So maybe that's going to be a good reason for that to actually be out, not for people to steal per se, but for people to study and learn how to actually develop better for those kinds of systems. But not only has the system source code been leaked out, a lot of game source codes have been leaked out. Specifically, a couple really big ones: Super Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time.
Oh well, I mean, who cares?
Who cares? Two of the biggest games in history, some of the most beloved games of people's childhoods, have been leaked out now, and we're learning a whole lot about what has been cut and what was pretty far along in development before it was cut out, or what was kind of cut out early on that was just left over.
Are there deleted scenes?
There are certain things that weren't in the game when you played it as a customer, but were in the files. For example, Luigi is nowhere to be found in Super Mario 64, but there was a rumor for forever back in the early 2000s going on in the early internet where you could finally do a series of ridiculous events and you'd be able to play as Luigi, but of course that didn't happen. But Luigi actually was in the game. He was coded in the game. There was a model or whatever. It just didn't make the final cut. So After all this time, yes, Luigi actually was in the game.
Luigi got edited out.
Luigi got cut out, dog.
Oh,
out of there.
That's embarrassing. You do all that work. You show up every day to set. You say your lines. You go through the motions, and then you tell your grandparents and your family, you're like, I'm gonna be in this. You gotta watch this, and you sit down, and it's like Joey Tribbiani. You get cut out.
Rip, dude.
Oh, anyway, poor Luigi.
Yeah, but the same thing happened with Ocarina of Time. Now I don't know exactly what came out of the Ocarina of Time leak, but I do know that not far long after the Ocarina of Time leak, I don't know if this is, I don't know if these are causation, whatever. But one of the beta versions of a dungeon that was shown off in early trailers of Ocarina of Time has been recreated now. In just the actual engine, the game, they recreated this beta dungeon, which is, if that has something to do with the source code being leaked out, that's really big, because Ocarina of Time was supposed to be so much more than it actually was. Because in Japan, they had this thing, it was an attachment. How I have the Famicom?
It was quite a bit.
It was quite a bit.
Okay.
But it was supposed to be more. So how I have the Famicom disk system, the add-on from my Famicom. They did the same thing in Japan only, for the Nintendo 64, where it had floppy disk. It was supposed to come out in America, but it sold
was a Nintendo 64 disk system?
Disk drive.
Wow.
The N64 DD.
The dude.
So, yeah. So that was supposed to come out, worldwide, but it sold like fucking ass in Japan. Yeah. So they were just like, okay, never mind. Wow. But they were developing games for it. Super Mario 64 was another one of those games that was supposed to, I don't know what the differences were, but there have been beta builds of it that are playable online now. But if this brings to light some of the code, some of the extra little bits that were left over from that era of Ocarina of Time's development, that could be really, really big, because there's a lot of talented developers out there that are just, dudes at their house that wanted Zelda to be what it was supposed to be. It's so if if any of that code is left over and they can get their hands on it, or if they can get their hands on it and figure out what it is and then redo it themselves, you're not doing anything illegal technically, but maybe we could see what Ocarina of Time had the potential to be.
I mean, unless you're monetizing it, I'd imagine that you probably can't get in too much
trouble.
No,
wrong. I believe that's wrong, because that's it's the same thing with emulators, because you can't use system source code and then take that source code and use it in an emulator that you're making for the PC or whatever, because they own that code. But if you take the source code and you redo it by yourself in a different programming language or whatever, just to make it your own, but it still functions the same, that's how you skirt around that legal gray area.
Yeah, that is
I think.
I don't know. Yeah.
Either way,
that needs some confirmation. That sounds like a hell of a loophole.
It is a hell of a loophole, but that's the thing, is that the code is copywritten, but if you can make your own, then that's how that goes.
Yeah, that's kind of like, this is not Spider-Man, this is Spider-Guy.
That's not what that is. That's the Chinese knockoff.
This is Spider-Guy.
Whatever. But that's the big deal, is that Nintendo's source code, a lot of it has been leaked out, and we could really see some cool things come out of it if people take the time to look over it.
That's awesome.
And people will.
There's going to be a lot of interesting stuff that comes out of that.
I can't wait for all the homebrew games.
Legal or no.
Holy shit,
Doesn't
I can't
matter.
wait for the homebrew. Because people are just going to go and they're going to make their own versions of Ocarina. They're going to take the Ocarina of Time game and then turn it into their own Zelda game, and I love it. That's more Ocarina of Time to play.
I am kind of looking forward to it. Keep me posted on that. Obviously, I don't peruse those kinds of sites and stuff, but
people have a lot of homebrew Zelda games, but not too much of the 3D homebrew Zelda games, because those are so much harder to develop. But this will make it easier.
I'm looking more forward to Spider Guy when that comes out, or Spider-like Man,
the Incredible Fella.
Yeah, Spider sort of kind of like Man, who he was bitten by a drunken daddy longleg. Yeah,
ew.
His abilities aren't as cool.
No,
he wears a blue and red costume, not red and blue.
I don't think daddy longlegs bite.
They don't. They are the most poisonous. One of the most poisonous, but they can't bite.
Oh,
what a terrible dude! What a great superhero that would be. He's like the most powerful, but he can't punch you.
He can't do anything.
Yeah.
The opposite of One Punch Man.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Anyway, all right. So I got a story.
Yeah, you go with your news story.
I got a story. We're going to talk about it real quickly because it involves two of my favorite. My verbally favorite, like almost embarrassingly favorite comic book creators. One's an artist, one's a writer.
Embarrassing.
I've almost embarrassed myself at how much I love the writer, known as the Great Tom King.
Yeah, okay.
The Great Tom King.
Sure.
Everyone knows this. The section in my comic books with the Tom King books is entitled The Great Tom King. And perhaps my favorite artist, probably my favorite artist, the one that I enjoy looking at the most with my eyeballs, is Jay Lee.
Okay.
I love it. We did a show and tell earlier, I believe, of my Dr. Doom drawing that I got from Jay Lee. And
I haven't posted it yet, but yeah, we did.
Haven't posted it yet.
Did it. Spoiler.
Look for that. I don't know why it's not posted yet.
I was waiting for the time when you didn't do your own video.
So yeah, like it's the most I've ever spent on a piece of original art was Jay Lee.
Yeah.
And I loved every penny of it.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So anywho, he's done so many great covers, whatever. Tom King, say what you will about his Batman run. I know a lot of people hate on him because of Batman specifically, but his Mr. Miracle and Vision are modern masterpieces, sir.
Okay.
Modern masterpieces, and I love so far through 3 issues of Strange Adventures. I'm all in. Anyway, he's great.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what happened this week. Tom King opened his big mouth before doing any due diligence in a situation in which Jay Lee was commissioned to do a cover for a comic book for this group, and I'm not going to get into the politics or anything around it because I don't know enough. I'm not big on Twitter and social media, so I don't know a lot about this group, but there's a group called Comicsgate, and I believe they kind of position themselves, from what I can tell and from what I've heard and read, that they position themselves as kind of struggling against this push for more diversity. So like they're not saying, from what I can tell, they're not being like outwardly racist or anything like that at all.
Okay.
But they actively are against this modern push for diversity. So there's a lot of controversy surrounding that group.
Okay.
They do exclusive covers or whatever. So anyway,
okay.
Long story short, Jay Lee does an exclusive cover for like a Comicsgate version, and I don't remember what comic book it was. And Tom King blasted him for working with this Comicsgate.
Can't do that.
Here's where the controversy comes in. So he comes out and he starts blasting Jay Lee for working for these people and these anti-diversity, whatever, this and that. I'm not going to quote anybody because I haven't read everything. I saw the tail end of his Twitter, but then Tom King took all his Twitter down. Oh. So, yes.
That's not a good sign.
So Tom King blasted him.
Okay.
Jay Lee, who is even less anti-social media. Is that a word? Anti-social media?
Yeah.
Than I am.
Be anti-anything.
Because when I contact him about commissioned art, it is an AOL email address, if that tells you anything. So the dude's not on Twitter. He's not on all this other stuff, Instagram. Yeah. So he doesn't know about this. I think Comicsgate's biggest presence is social media. So he doesn't even know who Comicsgate is. He just knows that he got commissioned a piece of art for whatever. So he's like, cool, give me some cash. I'll draw this whatever. Here you go. Just doing his job. Didn't know who it was for. Tom King, with a simple phone call, could have probably said, hey, you realize what you're doing here. And then the situation could have been squashed. But he blasted Jay Lee in the media. Jay Lee finds out about this, and he's like, dude, I didn't even know who these people are. I'm just getting paid to draw pictures.
Yeah. He's
like, so then there was a phone call, some communication between the two. There was an apology. Then there was like some hubbub about, well, Jay Lee still isn't cool with it because you can't say things like that in this day and age. Like that could have absolutely ostracized him from the community. Like he could have been completely, I guess, cut off from the comic book community by being associated, even though he wasn't, with this Comicsgate group.
Okay.
So
that's bad.
Really, it was a big case of foot and mouth disease by Tom King because and he's issued apologies. He went on Twitter and said, he wholeheartedly apologizes. He knows he should have handled it differently. He should have contacted Jay first and all this stuff. But I think hopefully it's a clear definition of what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
Because Jay Lee's like way too good, way too sweet of a dude. You can tell. To have his career.
Know who he was talking to.
Yeah, but you know how it goes. Like perception is reality nowadays.
I totally get it.
That's why I'm bringing this up. Yeah, that's why I'm bringing it. Like facts don't matter anymore.
Right.
Facts don't equal truth.
Yeah.
Perception equals truth. So it could have gone the wrong way pretty quickly. Like it could have. So that's like moral of the story. Even if you're the great Tom King and can craft a story as well as anyone.
Sure.
Read Swamp Thing Winter Special. Among other things. Even if you're that dude, think about what you're saying.
Yeah.
Think about what you're writing.
That's the problem.
Because if enough people read it and believe it,
and they will,
the tidal wave begins. And then it turns into a tsunami, and then Japan is decimated.
Oh no.
Yes.
I didn't know Jay Lee had so much connection to Japan.
I don't know that he does. Maybe Korea. I'm not sure. But Japan has been known to be decimated by tsunamis.
Quite a bit.
So that's all I got. It was just an unfortunate thing because two of the creators that I really look forward to, everything they do, I kind of got a little spat. And I don't know that they needed to.
No.
One of my favorite books that I've got is my Batman 50 that people hated. For obvious reasons, the marriage of Catwoman or whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it's the Jay Lee cover, the exclusive cover, in which Jay Lee autographed for me, and then I had Tom King draw his little Joker on there with the.
Yeah, I remember.
It's ridiculous.
That.
It's awful.
It's great,
but it's one of my favorite pieces, and I got it. I spent money on it for that reason. I love Jay Lee. I love Tom King, and it was kind of disheartening to see him go at it in such a potentially dangerous situation. This could have been extremely dangerous to Jay Lee's career.
Yeah, that's not good. Like,
no.
Tom King probably should have thought about that, and It seems like he came around. Maybe he had a little bit too much to drink before he did that. But
yeah, and Tom King's a smart dude. He worked for the Secret Service. Before comics, that was his job. So CIA, some kind of job in the CIA. I'm sorry, maybe I misspoke. So he knows about due diligence and investigation. Just one phone call and it would have been it was squashed. But anyway, that's how thin of a line we walk on these days.
Yeah, it's no
We're
good.
just a little nudge either way, whether it's justified or not, can cause a lot of harm.
Yeah.
Hopefully, disaster averted.
Hopefully, yeah.
And that's all I got on this one.
Cool. Yeah, I'm all about some Jay Lee art.
Anything else you want to talk about?
It sucks that if anything happens about him. No, I don't. I don't have anything else to bring.
So just a couple news stories. So you want to go right on to some comic book stuff? I mean,
yeah, sure. Yeah,
I've got some comic book stuff we can talk about. So I've prepared a list.
Okay.
I'm a little OCD.
You did.
Things don't count in my world unless they're attached to a list. Bullet points, whatever.
I don't know. That's true.
So what I'd like to do is start a little segment.
Sure.
Maybe on this podcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna switch it over.
Where I go on the virtual comic book hunt with a budget of $100. So, like, if you're looking to buy some comics and you got $100 in your pocket, I'm going to tell you what to spend your money on. Because if I had $100, this following list is what I'd spend it on.
Okay.
Right now.
Let's do it.
Right now. And today I got I themed this one. You did. If you've seen any of my videos in regards to what you should buy or should not buy, some other stuff, there's always a little theme. So my theme on this one, obviously, is, as you're going to find out, is Incredible Hulk. And the reason being because nobody talks about the Incredible Hulk. They're still kind of like, it's like, is Mark Ruffalo going to do this or whatever, MCU this and that?
Yeah.
At the same time, last year was the year of Immortal Hulk. It came out and it blew the doors down.
You didn't read that thing.
It was so good.
Yeah.
It's in a lull right now. People don't love this new direction as much as they liked the old one.
Right.
So the current title's kind of in a lull. There's really no solid news or anything pointing us in a direction that the Hulk is going to have a big part in the MCU going forward.
Yeah, that's the one character we haven't talked a whole month about. Okay.
From what I believe or heard, Universal still has the rights to Hulk, so Marvel isn't allowed to do a solo Hulk movie. That's the last I heard. He can be in other movies. He can be within a team movie or whatever, or show, but he can't do his own thing.
Okay.
So all those reasons, Immortal Hulk down, MCU, future in question, now's the time to buy Hulk.
You know it is.
It's like it's the time you should. The secret to investing or collecting in comics is to buy things when they are ugly, not when they are sexy.
No, not when they're white hot.
No. Go to the bar and find that girl who hasn't had her best day yet, or maybe her best days were past. But you're like, man, she's a fixer-upper.
Jesus Christ.
You know?
Okay.
It's like that girl, you buy a drink, and the rest is history.
What's the list?
The 5'9" girl with the heels and this red dress and the legs forever. Don't do that. So anyway, so what I want to do is, again, I have a $100 budget. I'm looking on eBay and some other sites, looking for some average prices for raw books on these lists, and I'm going to pick out anywhere from like 3 to 8 or 9 or 10 comics. I'm hopefully within $100. So I'm trying to stick to like the $20, $25 and below. Like anybody can buy a $100 book all day long. So I'm trying to find some values with the budget. Okay. So today's first Benjamin is being stretched upon the Incredible Hulk.
All right.
And the first thing I want to talk about is Hulk Future Imperfect. 2-issue series back in the 90s, written by Peter David, drawn by the great George Perez. You don't get a better creative team in the 90s, or maybe beyond, than that. So this is a futuristic story where Hulk goes into the future, and it's a dystopian future, of course, a post-apocalyptic kind of weird thing going
As
on.
they all are. Yeah.
And you find out very quickly that it is a future incarnation of the Hulk that is basically the dictator of this world, named the Maestro. Why this is important: Maestro has a 6-issue series coming out maybe next month that explains how we got to Future Imperfect.
Oh, that's cool.
Because it's been touched upon, it's been written about, never been deeply explored. And like, how did we get here? How did Hulk transform into Maestro and take over this world? So Hulk Future Imperfect #1 is the first appearance of Maestro. Another reason why I like this book is because when you talk about MCU and deep down and further down the road, there's only a couple incarnations of the Hulk that I believe are going to be sexy for the screen. One being Hulk Future Imperfect. This Maestro character could be a fantastic villain.
Okay.
With all the time, like the space-time continuum has been broken now in the MCU, so we can do anything, anytime, anywhere.
Right.
So this future version of the Hulk, well, I mean, hell, Maestro could come back to our time. It doesn't matter. So Maestro's a very cool character. I love the fact that he is just basically Bruce Banner from years and years and years and years down the road. Mm-hmm. And so, like, I see the potential of him possibly showing up somewhere.
Okay.
And this new series coming out. So anyway, first appearance of Maestro is #1. Yeah. The second issue, again, is the first cover appearance of Maestro. As you can see, he's old with a beard. Coming at you. Mm-hmm. And one of the really, really cool things, and I've read it, it's a really good, fun story. Quick read, awesome story. Everybody should read it. But if you move forward here, you'll see this humongous panel. There's this double-page spread that has become kind of famous. And this is like the Maestro's museum.
Yeah, we'll move us out of the way.
Of what once was.
Yeah.
And there's games where you can, like, there's 80, 90 things on here that you can identify. It's kind of like, how many of these things can you identify? You can see in the middle, you got like Captain America's shield, and then like another version of his shield broken.
Yeah.
On the left-hand side there, you see like several different Iron Man suits of armor that are kind of
Magneto's helmet up there.
Magneto's helmet, Nova's helmet,
the Thor's helmet.
On
Spider-Man's
the very, very background. You can't see
it.
You've got the fur of the Beast.
Oh wow!
Basically like a bear skin, like a beast skin rug. You've got Vision's head in the background. You got Professor X's chair. I mean, it's like it goes on and on and on and on.
Yeah, it's just everything.
You got a Sentinel head filled with what I assume are the bricks of the Thing.
Where's that?
On the right side, just right of the Captain America's shield, sitting on the ground. It's a Sentinel head.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah.
And resting in the Sentinel head are a bunch of orange bricks that I think might be the Thing.
Probably. Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm sure it's been. But anyway, the Silver Surfer's board is hanging from the top, and it's all cracked. So this is just an awesome panel.
Yeah, I like that. That's
for no other reason, this series is awesome. But it's one of those things that it's going to be a classic, and it could be one of those weird things where it's an eventual future that we head down, whether it's in an animated series, Disney Plus, in the MCU, or whatever. It's something we can work towards. So anyway, I'm buying it now because it's been undervalued for a long time. You can get both of these books for anywhere from between $35-$40 total. So that's where I'm starting my hunt, is buying Future Imperfect.
I know I covered myself up, Sam. I can't help it. This picture's huge.
Next on the list, is Immortal Hulk #1.
Yeah.
So
is that expensive?
This may very well end up being the greatest Incredible Hulk run that we've ever seen.
Okay. I mean,
it could get. It's so brand. Well, there's some good ones. There are some good ones out there, but Al Ewing is doing a fantastic job on this run, and we might be in a situation where in the future, this is the Incredible Hulk that exists in the MCU or comics. This is the undying, immortal Hulk.
Okay.
People are going to look to this issue to where it all started.
Right.
And it just has the look of a classic cover.
It does.
It's Alex Ross. It's him coming from the grave. It's the logos in disarray. Mm-hmm. I mean, the poor logo. So again, it's a classic. I think it's a future classic. And right now, It's on the down again. It's on the down. It's on a little slide. This was all day a $70, $80, $100 book raw. Last year,
I believe it.
You can grab it for $40-$45 right now.
Oh, it's doubled.
It's half.
Oh, right now it's down.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right now it's down. Okay.
So I think now's the time to buy. I trust in Al Ewing to turn the series around, or he's going somewhere, and when he gets there, we'll see what happens. Of course, Hulk in issue number 25 of Immortal Hulk maybe became Galactus, the World Breaker. We'll see.
I mean, I wanted to read it.
If that ever matters. So again, a lot of stuff happening in Immortal Hulk, and this is where it all began. So I'm buying it now when it's down.
Cool.
So that's
right.
it.
That's it?
A few more books on the list.
Oh, okay.
This is, again, in the theme of modern classics. When we talk about classic artists from the 90s, there's maybe one that stands out above the rest, if you don't count Jim Lee, and that is Todd McFarlane.
Mm-hmm.
Todd McFarlane, of course, known for Spawn and Image, what he did on Spider-Man, but he also had a great run on the Hulk. And this is where it all began. So Todd McFarlane's first issue of the Hulk is right here, issue 330, and you can grab it for $10-15. I think it's just one of those comics that, again, is going to be looked back upon at the start of a classic, Hall of Fame artist run, written by Peter David. So this is where Hulk also started to be written by Peter David. And it wasn't great until Peter David started writing it. I think he started maybe the next issue. But right here is you got Todd McFarlane jumps on, Peter David jumps on, and the Hulk is risen by 2 notches. And again, this is where it all began. You can grab it in $5 bins. If you get lucky. So yeah, if you can grab it for $5-8 all day long, do it, because it's Todd McFarlane's first Hulk.
Sweet. That's
and
awesome.
Then the last thing on the list, because I'm running out of money now, I spent $40
What the hell is this?
on Future Imperfect. I spent $45 on Immortal Hulk, and that's more than I wanted to go per issue. So we only have enough room for a couple dollar bin books. So I chose Hulk number 267 and Hulk number 312, which is the first cameo in a dream sequence and the first full appearance of who? The Hulk's dad, Brian Banner.
The Hulk's dad.
Yes. To me, the most intriguing part, vastly underexplored part of the Hulk.
Oh, that's
is
right.
His father.
Right.
Now,
Didn't
it's touched upon quite heavily in the Immortal Hulk run.
Okay. I think you were telling me about that.
Brian Banner goes to hell.
Right.
The one below all that stuff, the Green Door. Mm-hmm. Some stuff's been retconned, won't go into it now. But this is the first cameo appearance in 267, and if you click 312, is his first full appearance. These are both dollar bin books. You can get them for $1 or $2 or $3 all day long, near mint condition.
There's something I love about classic Hulk art. I don't know what it is.
The Hulk is awesome. And it's green on purple. I mean, you can't go wrong. It's green hair on greener skin.
It's true.
And perfect teeth. Just absolutely.
It does
perfect.
have perfect. It's immaculate teeth.
So
You need to go to the dentist.
These are books that I would spec on. The one good part of Ang Lee's awful movie back in the day, before it all went wrong, was the Hulk's kind of PTSD about his childhood and his abusive father and all that stuff. And it hasn't been explored in the MCU. It's a heavy subject.
Yeah.
But it was touched upon and massaged in Immortal Hulk, and I think it is a very powerful thing they could expand on eventually, one day. As the Hulk was always I'm just mad, so I turned into the Hulk. But you never knew why.
Okay.
He's got issues. The dude's got daddy issues.
Absolutely he does, apparently.
And I don't believe they've been remotely close to fully explored. And absolutely, obviously...
In the comics or in the MCU? Because
obviously not on screen at all.
Never touched it, yeah.
Yeah. No, in the comics. There's just so much more they can do with that. And if that's what makes the Hulk tick, or at least part of it, do more with it. So anyway, if he shows up later on down the road, whether it's a flashback, again, they can tell a Hulk story. I leave nothing off the table when it comes to the MCU. Anything could happen.
Yeah. This
is going to go on forever and ever and ever, long after I'm gone.
Probably.
So, for $1 or $2, give me Brian Banner's first couple appearances.
Yeah, that's cool.
And that's all I got. That's my $100. I think I spent 98 of it.
$98. You got $2 to go buy yourself.
I can get a taco.
Coke or a taco. All right, cool. Yeah, I like that little list. We don't have beef jerky, Sam.
No
I
beef
don't
jerky.
even have beer.
Got no beef jerky.
God damn it. Okay.
Want a sip of beer?
No.
All right.
Good beer.
So now we're talking about something else.
Let's move on and talk about
Let's talk.
this little
Let's
boy,
do it.
This little character.
Let's talk about this dude.
This little
Okay,
character
so
called
Miles Morales.
Miles Morales.
Okay, here's what we're not going to do. We're not going to try to talk about everything Miles Morales.
No.
Why is my face getting redder? I feel like I'm like.
Yeah, I know. Like we look super red. I don't know.
Am I infected with some kind of virus?
I have no idea.
Anyway,
I don't
all
feel
right.
red.
So we'll wear makeup next time. There's a lot going on with Miles Morales, so I want to talk about briefly, semi-briefly, how this came to be.
Okay.
Miles Morales was a character back in 2011. As everyone knows, he dons the Spider-Man costume. He's in the Ultimate Universe. Him and Peter Parker meet. You know, whatever animated movie comes out, it's all well and good. That's the Cliff Notes.
Yeah.
His uncle's the Prowler. Blah blah blah. But my lord, something's happening with Miles that I've racked my brain to figure out for weeks now. I don't think I'm ever going to get there. This is almost a character study that could be written upon in a journal.
It's an interesting
somewhere.
situation what's going on with Miles Morales.
As we've talked, and we thought about it, and it was like, wow, Miles Morales, Spider-Man. I mean, what prompted this obviously is because his first appearance went from $100 to $300-$400 in essentially a day and a half.
Yeah.
And has just exploded through the roof since then.
Yes. And I mean, that all started with the announcement of the PlayStation, the unveiling of the PlayStation 5.
Yes. Absolutely. So like there's more to it than just a video game being announced, because I don't believe that a video game announcement really prompted the market. Like it didn't flood the market with these new people. It's like, Miles Morales is Spider-Man? I know that now because of the PS5. So it wasn't that. It was something else. Something else has happened.
It might be his first appearance in a video game.
I'm sure it is, but that still isn't going to triple a comic book appearance from 10 years before.
No, I don't.
It has
think so.
obviously something to do with it. But so this really it sent me on a path. I was like to try to figure out what's going on with Miles Morales. Like, why is this guy so desired and so white hot right now? And I haven't figured it out.
No.
I'm here to say I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Well, that's a really short discussion then.
Yeah, game over. So no, I tried to look at some other things that I could compare. I was like, we've essentially got another dude playing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
We've had that before. You know, there's been several Captain Americas. There's been several
sure.
Bucky's. There's been several
Robin is
Robins.
a prominent example.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's been there's several Thors. I mean, there's been evolutions of characters that
Sure.
have drastically been different. What's the difference here? Because even though the Falcon or what's his name? Walker. James Walker? Might be getting that wrong. John Walker. Even though they became Captain America, you know, the Winter Soldier became Captain America.
Yeah.
The perception in the world was never that Sam's our Captain America now. It's always Steve Rogers. And
No,
it's still Steve Rogers.
Whenever you say Captain America, you automatically think of Steve
Right.
Rogers. Whereas it's a different situation. It's becoming a different situation nowadays with Spider-Man, because you don't know what answer you're going to get.
That's the thing. Even 10-year-olds right now in 2020, when you ask them about Captain America, they say Steve Rogers. Who's Batman? Bruce Wayne. You know, that's what they say.
Yeah.
There's the difference. Because yes, if you ask somebody who's Spider-Man, you might get a bunch of Miles Moraleses.
Yeah, especially
before you got a Peter Parker.
Yeah. Absolutely.
To me, I can't figure out another time in pop culture. Just forget comic books, just in pop culture in general, where this has happened. And it was just so completely accepted and embraced by a community. And and on such a character like it's Spider-Man. It's Spider-Man here. Because the only other thing we talked about it, you can talk about Robin all day long. There's a division. There's Dick Grayson was Robin, and then Jason Todd was Robin, and then Tim Drake was Robin. And there's some people that like Tim Drake, and there's some people. Well, I don't know if anybody really liked Jason Todd as Robin.
Apparently not.
They killed him. They voted to kill his ass.
Kill him quick. Yeah.
So like Dick Grayson becomes like, so it's like Nightwing or whatever. Mm-hmm. But that was Robin.
Yeah, it's not.
It was
Spider-Man.
a sidekick.
Yes.
It's
not like, Spider-Man. It's not the biggest Marvel property.
Yeah, who cares, right?
Right.
This is, yes. If Marvel has a golden boy, it is Spider-Man.
Absolutely, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the cinema gods were to come down and say, Marvel, you can only make movies based on one character forever,
it'd be Spider-Man every time.
They choose Spider-Man.
Yeah. DC be Batman.
DC chooses Batman. That's clear.
It should be.
So we've got a situation
here. I don't know
here.
that DC would choose that.
Well, they should choose that.
Yeah.
And they will.
Yeah.
They will when that happens.
Yeah.
So, and they said that's the question though. You had Peter Parker was Spider-Man for 50 years.
Yeah.
And then Miles Morales becomes Spider-Man in so many people's eyes.
Yeah.
So, and I think the spike around the PS5 launch, or not launch, whatever, reveal.
Yeah, the unveiling.
We'll call it a reveal.
Unveiling.
I think that solidified some stuff. What in the heck is going on here?
Sam sent some ASCII drawings. Cheers, Sam.
Sam the mod.
God damn it.
So, I mean, there is some credence to the significance of the PS5 reveal. It wasn't all of it.
No, of course.
It may have been another nail in the coffin. Just one more page in the chapter that is this idea that Peter Parker isn't alone as being someone that a world, a community identify as Spider-Man.
Yeah, sure. Like it's just another signifying moment where people are shoving Miles Morales in people's faces and they're accepting it.
Yes.
Us as consumers are accepting it. They're not just like, no, get this kid out of here. We want Peter Parker. Bruh. Do I have to ban you from my chat, Sam?
Oh my god.
Do I have to ban you?
It's getting raunchy now. She's doing this fast, man. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
You're so artistic, Sam.
It's really good.
Wow.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Is that the bottom half of the frog character thing?
I hope to Christ it's not.
Is that a frog?
That's Pepe. You know what Pepe
is? That's Pepe?
Yeah, the frog.
Who's that?
Pepe the frog. That's Rick.
Is that supposed to be Rick? Standing next to who?
Rick.
Hey, Morty. I'm only half of me, Morty. So, anyway.
Jesus Christ.
Again, I want to at least kind of get it out there and talk about it for a minute because it's a historic thing that's going on. I believe it's historic. There's no reason fighting it. If you were fighting it, Miles Morales is obviously a generation's Spider-Man. And I think the video game kind of cemented it.
Yeah, it
in
definitely
a lot of
did.
people's eyes.
Yeah.
It's the generation that would most likely consider Miles Morales as their Spider-Man, is should they have to vote.
They're kids now.
They're also the ones playing these games.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I grew up with Peter Parker Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to play the game.
No, and there's some older folks my age that play video games all day long, and
Joe's going to play the shit out of that game.
They knew only Peter Parker as Spider-Man forever.
Yeah.
So, but what I'm saying, this is a historic event. We've never seen this before. That I can, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm overlooking something completely. But we've talked about this too. Like you could reach into movies and TV and say, well, James Bond was played by
James Bond has
right?
been portrayed by a billion people.
Yeah, and people are like, I'm the Sean Connery Bond, or I'm a Roger Moore.
Yeah, but they're
Bond.
all going for the character that is
Bond.
James Bond. Yeah. Yeah, whereas Peter Parker, Spider-Man,
it's a different
is a
character.
Completely different. Yeah, they're two different people that are just the same. Right. They're not even the same superhero. They just have the same name.
Yeah, and they're very similar origins and whatever.
Sure.
Yeah, they're both
whatever. Yeah,
started out as teenagers. They're very similar in all the same things that I resonated with readers back in the '60s. they just kind of took all those and like, we're going to resonate with people in 2011.
Yeah.
And the same stuff still works.
And I love the origin story as to why Brian Michael Bendis?
Yeah.
The whole origin story behind that was about behind his idea,
right,
to make Spider-Man a black Puerto Rican,
correct,
half black, half Puerto Rican, and I think that's another reason why things like Miles Morales, so people like Miles, not people, not a real person, but characters like Miles Morales are blowing up, is because it's opening the doorway for a whole other audience,
well, of course,
to relate.
No, that's, I mean, obviously that's the move towards diversity. Is we're long overdue, like decades overdue.
Absolutely, yeah.
Having diversity in comics, that goes without saying. And Miles Morales kind of broke the seal on that.
Yeah, he's the most popular Marvel character.
Yeah, because it was like
of all time. Everybody likes Spider-Man.
If you don't know the Brian Michael Bendis
yeah.
story, it's like I guess the story was he was at a convention and he had I don't know if he's a black kid, I think maybe.
Probably, yeah.
Came up to him and he's like, "Who's your favorite character?" And he's like, "Spider-Man." And he asked the kid why Spider-Man is your favorite character. And he's like, "Because with the mask on, he could be me."
Yeah.
And the light bulb went off, and like I have goosebumps when I talk about it because it's a powerful thing.
It is.
And it as a white dude that has read comics forever, it's just kind of like
you don't think about it.
You know what you see, right? Yeah. Like it's all familiar for me,
right?
And it like had this flood of thought that was like, oh my gosh, like you're right, and we're 40 years behind getting this done. And it took Brian Michael Bendis creating, and they don't mess around. It wasn't like, hey, we're gonna take this ancillary character, this secondary character. It's like, no, this is Spider-Man. Like our flagship character, is now
the guy,
half black, half Puerto Rican.
Yeah,
and I'm so glad that the world is the way it is, where they accepted it, because he's a fantastic character.
And I can't imagine he's anything.
And it was
otherwise.
so well done.
I loved him in.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, maybe the best Spider-Man movie ever. But
that's my favorite.
If DC would have done this, they would have had to like create a whole new Earth. You know, where Peter Parker didn't exist, and
well, I mean, they did it,
and they'd have to like retcon stuff, and like this timeline doesn't exist anymore. They did it in such a way where they get to both exist. They get to both play with each other now.
Yeah, well,
and all the stuff that Peter Parker's been through, it still happened.
Yeah,
you know, there's still Peter Parker, and now there's alternate versions of Peter Parker and Miles Morales who get to have their own new stories together. So they did it in a way where it's like we're not replacing, Peter Parker as Spider-Man, but we've got this guy here who we think can be a really awesome Spider-Man as well. And he identifies with the other half of the planet. The country. So
yeah, I mean,
so anyway, again, we'll talk more about it, maybe some specifics around it going forward.
I'd like to get Joe involved to talk about some of this.
Yeah. But it just had to be said at this point that this is a historic moment happening right now, really, in the last few years. And we're right in the middle of it. And while I advised everyone to not purchase his first appearance, and I still don't because it's super sky high, this one's going to stick. Like this is a real thing. 30 years down the road, there's going to be a whole, as the older crowd starts to die off, there's going to be a very large portion of fandom that only, or at least primarily identifies with Miles Morales as their Spider-Man.
Sure. But, there's only been so many portrayals of Miles Morales as of right now because he's such a new character, and there's been a billion, or not a billion, but there's been a bunch of different portrayals of Peter Parker.
Just wait till the multiverse happens, and
oh yeah, I know. Listen,
and live action Miles Morales starts to pop up in the MCU.
Listen, dude, I get it. It's gonna absolutely explode.
My next week's buy, don't buy, or to buy or not to buy, I'm going to flip-flop it. I'm buying Miles Morales.
Jesus Christ. Don't do it.
I'm not.
Don't do it.
I won't.
All right. Well, yeah, I
guess that's all I got. That's all you got. Anything else to add on Miles Morales at this point in time?
Not as of this hand. This hand? Oh, Sam typed in this hand.
This guy.
Wow, God, she did a copy pasta on us.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
So anyway, let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
With a show and tell.
Yeah, do a little quick show and tell. I think we're probably going to take away the individual show and tell episodes after we get all the ones that I have in the backlog to edit down. we'll get those out whenever you don't put up your part of the portion of the content. But yeah, we're gonna just change over the show and tell to be the end portion of the podcast because I like doing this little podcast, this little live thing.
It's fun.
It's fun.
Even though it's a disaster
every time it's a disaster, but I kind of expected it.
I promise. You, Sam the moderator, who shows us pictures of Pepe and sweet asses, and Mad Scientist, that we will have both beer and beef jerky next week.
You are promising.
It's
all we had to do.
I want to have homemade beef jerky. That's
I know.
Thing.
I meant to go.
But
I meant to get some at the grocery.
If I've got to stop at the gas station, I will.
Yeah.
So anyway,
make some. But let's go ahead and do this show and tell. So we were originally going to have him show and tell something, but I got this in the mail. I guess it was yesterday. I guess I didn't check the mail yesterday, but.
Oh, it's so awesome.
This is really cool. So essentially what this is, I backed a Kickstarter because back in the day when I was a kid, I was right on the tail end. Maybe not right on the tail end. It was like towards the, like
a few years.
Yeah. Of Nintendo Power. I subscribed to Nintendo Power. I wish I had those magazines laying around here in hindsight. That would be fucking awesome, but I don't.
Listen, I had like the first 13, 14, 15 of them. First couple years worth of them.
I would have loved to have that. God, I would have loved to have
Whatever.
that. But, of course, Nintendo Power went out of print several years ago. I don't know how many years. Within the last decade, it went out of print. Mm-hmm. And they brought it back with a podcast, a monthly podcast. But, of course, the podcast is nowhere near as cool as the magazines because you get to see pictures and you get to read reviews, and it's all Nintendo-oriented, and I love Nintendo.
Not the same.
But someone in the UK, I don't know the guy's name, but his company is called Ninty Fresh, and essentially this is the next evolution of unofficial Nintendo Power.
It's awesome,
and I love it.
Fan made
Nintendo Power.
Nintendo Power.
So I think I'm probably gonna do. Yeah, it's not on a board or anything, so it's probably gonna suck. But there you go. That's the magazine. It is an
very
88,
Ninty Fresh.
Yeah, it is an 88-page, very beautifully designed fan art all throughout, especially on the cover. The cover is a little homage to the very first Nintendo Power issue. So I'm ready to get.
Let me just say
into this.
This excites me to no end. So much of my childhood was the beginning of Nintendo Power.
Yeah,
and how important it was in the pre-internet days to have
the
cheats.
Guides, dude.
I mean, it was like they wouldn't have like the guide to the whole game.
They did. They totally did.
Not every issue.
No.
Sometimes it was just here's how you do this, and here's how you do this, and here's a cheat. Here's a cheat code, or here's a little secret. This was how the secrets were. There was no Google search.
No,
there was nothing like that. So these were so anticipated when they came.
Yeah, and I loved, when I was a kid, in 2005 or whatever, I was 7. I wasn't on the internet. I wasn't on, whatever kind of message board. We probably had dial-up in 2005. But I would wait for the Nintendo Power to come in, and that's how I would get my Nintendo news. So of course it's nothing that we can't get on the internet for free, but whatever. I love having these print magazines. I miss them deeply.
You're such an old soul.
I listen, but it's really
awesome.
Cool. Yeah, it's awesome.
Really well made.
Yeah, this thing is. You flip through it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's solid, high quality.
Yeah, they clearly put a bunch of time.
As high quality as you're going to see. My favorite part, of course, is the back cover.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you can. Yeah, I don't think you guys can see it, but it says, what does it say? Read it.
Thank you, reader. But your next issue is on another Kickstarter.
Yeah. So I backed this on Kickstarter. It was I think it was like £9.
Whatever
£9.
Whatever that is.
So it was like $11 for the issue or whatever. I might have gotten a higher tier because I got a bunch of little extra goodies. So of course I got a print version of the magazine, and if you back it, you get a PDF version of the magazine. But I don't know if I got it. I don't really care because I have the physical.
Listen, here's the good news. You are now certified Ninty Fresh.
Absolutely. I got a little certified Ninty Fresh pin. It's a little Mario
Alright.
pin. It's
You
pretty
got a
cool.
big old poster here. You got like a
that's
little coloring book kind of thing.
I'll unfold the cover or this the poster. So that's a print of the cover, a little virgin print.
Cool.
Yeah. So I got a little print, and that is.
So this is a black and white version of the cover.
Yeah, that looks like it might be like a coloring book kind of page.
Yeah, so you can,
But
so the kids can
here-
color it.
Yeah. So here is the cover as a poster. So I would love to get this framed. It's double-sided
Awesome.
as well, but I like the actual cover side better.
Got a bunch of neat little pins.
Yeah, I got
Got
a
a
cool,
got an
couple cool
SNES
pins.
pin. You got an original NES pin.
No, this is I got an NES pin. This is an NES top loader pin,
Okay,
and that is a Famicom.
I'm about to say that looks like a little Famicom. Oh, these guys are nerds.
Absolutely.
These guys are Nintendo nerds.
Yeah, and then I got a Mario pin. That's just Mario, the little fan drawing of a Mario.
So that's
on there.
awesome.
But yeah,
That
that's
is awesome.
little quick show and tell. I love these things. If anybody is watching the podcast after we put it up on YouTube, if you have a chance to go back Ninty Fresh on Kickstarter whenever they bring on the second issue for Kickstarter, I'm gonna back the shit out of that.
Sounds like it might be
'Cause
quarterly.
it's super high quality. You look
No,
at
I mean quarterly.
quarterly.
This one is the summer issue 2020.
the summer issue 2020, so I guess it will be 20 or quarterly. So 4 issues a year. I'm happy to spend £11 on it plus
Yeah, $50 a year.
shipping. Yeah, and you get a little. You not only do you get the magazine, which I'm gonna have a nice little shelf for at some point, little rack shelf, but you get a bunch of little other goodies, and it's really cool. So
Awesome.
I can't wait to see what kind of covers they decide to like put their own little spin on, because of course
Yeah.
it's an homage to the first Nintendo Power, so maybe we'll throw in some Zelda covers,
Yeah,
or
well,
some
hopefully-
Metroid covers, or whatever was going on in the 80s.
I would love it to see this thing roll downhill and get to the point where there's enough momentum to do this more than 4 times a year. That'd be neat.
I would hope that at some point they could have it pay for itself enough to where they don't have to make every issue a Kickstarter.
Right.
You could just subscribe to it.
That'd be awesome.
'Cause I would do it.
Until Nintendo like litigates the shit out of them and shuts them down for some reason.
No,
and
these
they find some
there's
other thing.
listen. There's a bunch of fan magazines out here all over
I
the
hope
place.
so.
Yeah, Game Informer is the biggest goddamn one, and that's the GameStop owns that.
Yeah, like it only helps the market.
It really does.
So
Yeah, and like in the issue, they go through like they do a bunch of reviews. So they review like newer games, but then they have the little retro flashbacks and review all those games and talk about why this is cool and why this wasn't as cool as it could have been.
yeah,
So I probably will do a review of the magazine on the channel whenever I get around to reading it and take a little bit of notes, because it's really cool and I like random little bullshit like this. So, but that's show and tell. That's what I got.
awesome. Yeah, we don't get too many newer items in show and tell. It's always like
brand new.
a vintage or yeah. So that's awesome. Right off
Yeah.
the shelf.
Yeah,
So to speak.
literally right out of the mailbox. So
Cool.
yeah, I guess that's been this week's beer and beef jerky.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up.
You have anything to say?
No, I think we're good. We'll keep on trying to get better at this and bring some good content. If you have any suggestions,
Yeah, please let us know.
We'll take 'em.
Sam, moderator, let us
Yeah,
know. I'm
we're
sure you can
gonna-
tell me about that after we're done with this.
we'll
but
take some segments in and out. We'll try to construct this thing to get pretty consistent and
yeah,
depending on
like we
what
want to
everybody
be
likes.
fun and we want to be informative, and that's what I think that we're pretty okay at it. I guess.
We are pretty okay, as Mr. Miyagi, I believe, once said. You're pretty okay too.
Did Mr. Miyagi say?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, for those of us that are watching on YouTube, please leave us a comment down below as to what you think about our podcast and all of its contents.
Yes.
And leave the video a like if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't, and we'll see you on the next one. Subscribe, please.
Subscribe and like and
Do all the everything.
And
do the same thing on Twitch.
whether or not you subscribe or you like or you dislike or you just go on your merry way, Casey, I like to say, here's a toast to you, my fellow big chunky compadre. So I want to say to you and everybody out there, if you're going to do it, at least by God, do it chunky style.
Do it chunky style.
Cheers.
Cheers. We'll see you on the next episode.